Hi everyone, this is Steve Johnson, and this video tutorial is a follow-up to a pbvU Google Classroom training I put on Monday, October 1st. Today is Tuesday, October 2nd. But I'm going to basically go over everything I talked about yesterday on Monday. And it went from about 3:45 to 5:30, and I'm hoping that this video will be just under half an hour. So it's really going to be a condensed version of what I went over with all of the pbvU facilitators and instructors yesterday. If you were at that session, hopefully this will be a helpful reminder of some of the things we went over. And if you weren't there, hopefully it will show you the best practices for how to use Google Classroom during pbvU sessions. If you would like this slideshow that I'm showing you right now, here is the bit.ly. And then also I will embed this on the pbvU team site that many of you are probably familiar with, and I will talk about that more in a little bit. So the objectives of the session yesterday and this video, which is a condensed version as I said, is to become familiar with the Google Classroom interface, feel confident using Google Classroom, and understand the best practices for using Google Classroom as a pbvU facilitator and instructor. So I think the best thing to do is just take a walk around the Google Classroom interface. You can fast forward this portion of it. It'll probably take a few minutes if you're already familiar with Google Classroom. But I'm going to go ahead and just go to the main kind of dashboard page of Google Classroom. And one way to get here is by typing in classroom.google.com in your web browser, logging into your Google account. You'll see that I have a lot of Google classes because I created all of these classes for pbvU. So I'm a teacher within them. What you can do in order to join a class is click on this plus sign, click on join class, and then you put in the class code right here. It is given to you by your instructor or facilitator during pbvU. You can also click the plus sign and create a class. Now students do not have the, and when I say students I mean like our K through 8th grade students cannot create a class, but they can join a class. Teachers are the only ones that should be able to join and create classes within our district. So that is basically the home page right here. I think one other thing that'd be good to show is when you click on these three lines, it takes you to your calendar. It shows you all of your Google classes that you've created. Again, I have a ton. And one other really important thing is if you go all the way to the bottom and go to settings, you want to make sure that this is toggled on or off depending on your preferences. So for example, if someone posts something and you're a student for pbvU within a Google class and this is toggled off like it is here, you will not get email notifications of what is posted in Google Classroom. However, if it's toggled on, you will get notified whenever there is something that has been updated in Google Classroom. So you might want to have that toggled on, make sure that is on when you start your pbvU sessions, especially as a facilitator if people are contacting you via Google Classroom. And again, that was clicking on those three lines and going to settings. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go into this practice Google class that I created for the session yesterday. And that's what I'm going to use for this video as well. So looking at the interface right here, I see that no upcoming work is due soon. I see that at the top we are in the stream right now. This is the default page you see when you open up Google Classroom. There's a classwork page tab right here, people tab right here as well. And then on the right, this about tab or link used to be up here as a tab. Google has now just recently moved it right here to the right within the last couple months. We'll click on that in a second. You can also select a theme and change the picture that's right here if you'd like, or upload a photo from your computer, and you can put that here as well. There used to be a plus sign right here that you would click on in order to create an announcement, assignment, or question. That has been taken away in this new update of Google Classroom. We'll talk about how you can create assignments in just a little bit. So the first thing is when you click on About, which again used to be here, now it's here. When you click on About, you get the class code. Now this is really, really small, and what you used to have done in Google Classroom is just write this on a whiteboard, but no longer do you need to do that. You can just click on this little icon design right here, and it makes that class code a lot bigger. So on a projector, that would be nice. But let's say it's a really big room. Maybe you want to make it a little bit bigger. So go to full screen, and you can make it a lot larger for your class. maybe a good thing to do for pbvU when people are first logging into Classroom. X out right here and X out right here to get out of that. So one of the things that you can do in Google Classroom, and before I go any further, I was going to talk about the stream. I should probably go to this gear right here. When you click on this gear, you can edit the name of the Google class. You can go to the class code and display it from here like I did before, copy it, reset it, or disable it if you need to. You can make it so that students can post and comment. That's the default within the stream. You can make it so that students can only comment, or only teachers can post or comment if the class is getting a little unruly. You can show deleted items by toggling this on, and then you can toggle this on for guardian summaries, which I highly recommend if you have a class full of K through 8 students, and I'll talk about this feature in just a little bit. I'm going to go to X out, go back to the stream, and now I'm going to go ahead and talk about the stream a little bit more. The one thing you can do within the stream is you can click on share something with your class, and you have this option to write a little message to your class that everyone would get. As long as their notifications are turned on, like I showed you before, they will get an email as well. But what you can also do is you can attach a file from your computer, from your Google Drive. This little triangle is the icon for Google Drive. You can attach a YouTube video or a link to a website. So let's go ahead and just make a little message. Check this out. And then I'm going to go ahead, click on the YouTube icon, and type Jimmy Fallon, Justin Timberlake, my boys. And then a whole bunch of videos pop up. I'm going to go ahead and just click on the first one right here. It's highlighted, click Add, and then I can click Post, and this will be sent out to everyone in the class. I'll go ahead and do that now. And also it will remain in the stream. And the thing about the stream is that it's kind of a chronological order type of thing. So the most recent things would be at the top, and then everything else would fall underneath it in chronological order. So that's the stream. Let's go ahead and look at, before I go to classwork, let's look at people. So in people, really interesting, the teachers at the top will all be shown here. You can have multiple teachers in a Google class if you'd like. And then here are all the students. These are all the participants from yesterday that went to the session, and I had them log in as students to this demo practice Google class. I could select all of them by clicking right here. And when that happens, this action button shows up. I can click on the action button and email all of them right now. I could remove all of them right now. I can mute all of them right now. I could uncheck this and just check one person at a time and email that person, remove that person, or mute him or her. Another really cool feature is invite guardians, and you wouldn't want to do this for pbvU, but if you have a classroom of students, if you click on invite guardians, you can type in the guardian's email address, and that person could receive a daily, weekly, or monthly newsletter or update, essentially, of what is being shared within your Google Classroom. The things you're sharing as far as assignments and announcements are concerned, the work that the student is doing, and it's a great way to communicate with parents without having to put in a lot of effort doing so. So I highly recommend it. You have to just type in their email address and you're good to go. You can invite students to this Google class by clicking on this little icon right here and typing in their email address as well. So we talked about stream, we talked about people. I think it's now time to jump into classwork. All right, so we're going to jump into classwork right now. And there's a lot of different ways to communicate with your students within Google Classroom. You could do it through classwork and creating materials, questions, assignments. You could also communicate through the stream like I talked about. But one thing that I think would be good as far as communication is concerned is being aware that Outlook and Gmail might be good tools too. So just stepping away from Google Classroom just for a second, here's an email that Dean Larimer sent to his participants from the summer sessions, and he did a great job in his emails, and he sent them to both the .NET or Outlook account and the Gmail account. He did both. Same message, but just wanted to make sure. He knew that some people check their Gmail and some people check their Outlook, so he wanted to make sure they had full coverage. Here's a little screenshot of a message from Frank Pinero. He took a table from Google Docs and pasted it in here. But what he's done is he has sent this message to everyone's Outlook account because it seemed like on the day of his session, most people check that email more than their Gmail account. And then also here's an example from Oliver Brown and again another one from Dean Larimer communicating. So my point in showing this is that you might want to use Google Classroom and communicate via people, right? Like I showed you clicking on someone's name and emailing them that way, or putting information here in Classwork, which I recommend, or announcements in the stream. But if people aren't checking Google Classroom a lot, you might want to use Outlook as well. And I think the best thing to do would be to the day of the session, kind of get a pulse of the people that are in there and see what is their best way of communicating. Is it Outlook? Is it Gmail? Is it just Google Classroom with Gmail? That's kind of embedded within that. See what they like and then communicate in the way that best suits them. So this takes us to the Classwork tab that I mentioned before. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some important documents that you could put into Classwork, and that would be a syllabus, a link to a pbvU website, important files from instructors, and then the follow-up activities. We'll talk about that in a little bit too. So if I go to Classwork and I want to create, I could create an assignment, a question, material, reuse a post, or create a topic. Well, let's say I just want to share the class's syllabus with everyone. So I'm going to click on material, and then I can give it a title. So I will entitle it syllabus. I can give it a description, but I won't do that right now. I'm not going to give it a topic. I have a practice syllabus in my Google Drive. So I'm going to click on the Google Drive icon. That'll pop up right now. I will select this fake pbvU syllabus I have. Click on that. It's blue, so I know it's highlighted, and click Add. It has been attached, and I'm now going to click on Post. So now you will see that at the top is the class syllabus. Let's say I want to add the pbvU website as well to this so that people have access to that. Well, I know how to navigate to that, so I'm going to go and do that right now. Here is the pbvU website. I'm going to click on this, copy, go back to the class room, go to Create, Material. I'm going to say that this is the pbvU website. I'm not going to give it a description, nor am I going to give it a topic. I'm going to click on the link right here, and I'm going to paste the link, add link right here. There it is. Click Post, and now I have the syllabus and the pbvU website within Classwork. So those are some of the important things. What are some other important things? Well, there might be important files from an instructor, but also what's going to be important is the follow-up activities. And that's what's on this slide right here. So the follow-up activities include 4 things: 2 implementations, 2 reflections, so that's 4 follow-up activities. The way that you're going to put it in Google Classroom is you're going to have implementation 1, the participants will implement, then they will reflect upon that with a reflection template, part 1, which is its own separate doc now. They will implement something again that they learned within the session and upload whatever that is within Classroom. And then they will reflect on part 2, a separate Google Doc than this one. So they will upload 4 things essentially. So how do you do that? How do you upload an implementation assignment? That's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to walk through it here, and then I will show you how to do it in Google Classroom. So the first thing you want to do is make sure if you're in the stream, click on Classwork. Click on Create. After you do that, you will click on Assignment, and then this will pop up. And there are 5 things that you're going to want to make sure that you fill out on an assignment. The first thing you're going to want to do is fill out the title. In this case, I typed in Implementation 1 to make it very clear this is the first implementation. Instructions. This is optional. I do recommend putting something here, either instructions for whatever this implementation task is, or if the instructions are already on like the doc or slides or sheet that's going to be shared, maybe just say see instructions on the attached Google Doc. The third thing you'll want to do is you want to change the point value from 100 to ungraded. We'll talk about this more in a little bit. Due dates. I do not have a final date for when the next learning cycle will end. That would be the only due date that you would put here. You can either do no due date, or when we give you that final day that the cycle is over, then you could put that in. But again, there are no due dates throughout the professional learning cycle. Just the end of the learning cycle is the only deadline. You don't have to put a topic. You'll probably want to upload something, in this case it's a Google Doc, and you will want to make sure you make a copy for each student. Very important fifth step that we'll talk about in a little bit. So let's go ahead and try that out now. I'm going to go back to the Google class. I'm going to go to Create. I'm going to go to Assignments. And then I see the 5 things that I want to make sure that I do. So I'm going to call this Implementation 1. Instructions, say the instructions are on the doc that I'm going to attach. So I'll say, please see instructions in the attached Google Doc. Okay, that's 2. Number 3, I'm going to take away the points and make this ungraded. And we'll talk about that more in a little bit. I'm not going to put a due date right now. I'm not going to put a topic. I am going to go to the Google Drive icon. I am going to click on this, let's see right here, this kind of fake assignment that I created. And very important, if I keep it here, the people in this session will only be able to view the file, and they won't have their own copy, which would be extremely frustrating for them. They could go to File and make a copy, but for a lot of people, that's a couple steps that's going to be really confusing, and it might be kind of, aggravating for both of you trying to communicate what to do. So I would just go in and click on this. I would make sure that they do not edit the file, because then that means everyone would edit this one Google Doc. So instead, I would say make a copy for each student. That's kind of like going to a Rizzo machine, making 30 copies and distributing those copies to your students. That's the same thing you're doing here, just doing it digitally. So we have 1, title, 2, instructions, 3, grades, ungraded in this case, 4, the doc, 5, make a copy for each student, and assign. Now, one thing that's very important, now that I've assigned it, I cannot attach anything to this assignment. I cannot go back and edit it. I cannot put another document or sheet or slides on there. Once it's assigned, it is assigned. I will have to delete it and redo it if I want to add something, or I'll have to create another assignment if I want to add more documents to this assignment. Okay, so that's implementation 1. So how about a reflection? How do you upload a reflection template? Well, you can go ahead and go to the pbvU team site, which I have right here, and this is the bit.ly URL for that. One of the ways, as of right now, to get part 1 and part 2 of the reflection template is to go to follow-up activities and reflection. You'll see that part 1's here, part 2's here. I'm going to click on part 1, and you will not have editing power of this document when you do that. You will have to make your own copy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, Make a Copy. I'm going to go ahead and change this to just Reflection Part 1. Oops. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I'm saving it into the top level of my Google Drive so I can easily locate it. So I'm moving over to Google Drive, clicking on My Drive, select, and I'm going to click OK. So a new tab opens up, and I now have a reflection part 1 document that I can share with my Google class. So I'll go back to Google Class. I'm in Classwork. I'm going to go ahead and click on Create. I'm going to click on Assignments. I'm going to call this Reflection Part 1. Instructions. You could say, please complete this after implementation 1 is complete. I say complete is, say that twice, so I as well say done. I'm going to go ahead and make this ungraded. I'm not going to give it a due date right now. I'm not going to give it a topic. I'm going to go to my Google Drive. Since that is the most recent document I opened, it's right here at the very top. So I'm going to click on that. It's highlighted. Click Add. Very important. Make a copy for each student. Got to do that. I want to make sure there's no other things I want to attach to this assignment. I'm good to go. There's no other things I want to attach. So I'm going to click Assign. So now I have within Classwork, I have the syllabus, pbvU website, implementation 1, reflection part 1, and I would do the same thing, create assignment for implementation 2, create assignment for reflection part 2. You can do that for any other resources the instructor might have as far as just wanting to share them, maybe as materials. But the important thing is that you have those 4 things, those 4 implementations, or I should say 4 follow-up activities in Google Classroom, and that before people leave the 7-hour session, they are very clear on what they need to do in order to accomplish their follow-up activities. Okay, so after the 7-hour seat time, you got everything in Google Classroom, everyone learned, it's great, they feel comfortable using Google Classroom. What does it look like checking participant work? It's a good question. So what you're going to do, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start here in Google Classroom. I'm going to go to the stream. Let's say I want to look at people's implementations, their first implementation. So I would click on that, and you can see I have 30 people in this session. So there's 0 people that have turned it in because I obviously just assigned this, and it's assigned to 30 people. I could click on these docs to see how it's going for these people who, when they start working on it and when they turn it in, it'll show up over here once they've turned it in. So let's say I click on this document right here. That's kind of where we're picking up right here. I'm going to click on the document. This will show up. Now, when you see the person's document, it will be in suggestions mode. If you click on this arrow right here, you will get the opportunity to leave comments. So if it's in suggestion mode, anything you put here is a suggestion that they can either dismiss and not listen to, or take on, and then your suggestion will become what's in the document. If you click on comment, it'll be a little box connected to the document, and only the participant can see both of those things. You can also add a private comment here and then click post, and those private comments will be here only between you as the instructor facilitator and the participant. So there's a lot of different feedback that you can give. Now it's very important. Let's say you look at this and the person filled it out completely the way that it needs to be done, and you're like, okay, good, the person did it. What you want to do to make sure they know they are done and they don't have anything else to do is you want to type the word completed into private comments, click post, and then return this to the participant. It's very important that you put something in here saying the status. If it's completed, make sure you put completed, hit post, and then hit return, so then when it gets returned to the person, they know they don't have to do anything more for this assignment. Let's say the person has a little bit more work to do. Well, in that case, if the person did not successfully complete the assignment, please place comments or suggestions on the file right here on the doc in this case. Maybe you click on comment and leave comments. Maybe you go ahead and make suggestions. If you do that, please type please see comments. You could even put the comments here too if you'd like of what they need to change or add here. Click post and then return it. That way, when the participant sees this document returned to him or her, that person will know, oh, this is what I have to do in order for it to be completed. Here's what the participant will see. Once an assignment is assigned to that person, they can add things to this assignment. They can create with docs, slides, sheets, and add things. In this case, something's been shared with them, so they would just click on this right here, manipulate it by adding whatever they need to do to it, and then they would click turn in here or turn in on the doc itself. That's how it gets turned into you as a facilitator or instructor. So once they do that, it'll say turn in on the assignment. They will no longer be able to edit it, and the only way they will be able to unedit it or to edit it again is to click unsubmit, or for it to be returned to them by you, the facilitator. Any private comments you give them will show up here. Here's an example. So here's an example of someone who turned in an assignment, and it was good. They did a great job. So I typed completed, right, in the private comment. That shows up right here. It tells them it's returned. Now you can see how confusing it would be if there was no comment and it just said returned. Because if it just said return and there was no comment, they'd be like, did I do this correctly? Is there more that I need to do? I don't know. I'm not sure. So it's very important that you give information for whether they need to continue working or they can check it off their list. Here's some other good things to know. I think I mentioned this before. I know I did yesterday. But deleting assignments in the Google Stream once they've been assigned will delete the participant's work. I may not have said that in this video yet, but that's really important. If you assign something and then you delete the assignment, we've been finding that the participants' or students' work will be gone. That delete the docs that have been shared with them. So make sure you only do that if everyone's on the same page and knows that that's going to happen. Also, and like I said before, if a person enrolls in a Google class after an assignment has been posted, they will not receive the assignment. It will have to be assigned again. So if I didn't mention this in the video already, basically what happens is if you assign an assignment and a student enters the Google class after the assignment has been assigned, they will not receive that assignment. So for example, let's say a pbvU participant shows up about 8:30 in the morning, half an hour after it starts. Let's say his or her car broke down, flat tire, something like that. They're stressed out. They get there. We let them go to the class due to the unfortunate experience they've had. They're going to catch up really quickly, and the assignments have already been assigned via Google Classroom. In that case, that assignment will have to be assigned again to that particular person, which could be confusing. So my suggestion is don't start assigning assignments in Google Classroom on the day of like the 7-hour session until maybe around lunchtime. Give it a few hours. Just make sure everyone's in the Google class and then start assigning the 4 follow-up activities and putting in all of the other things that you might need as far as materials are concerned. Okay, that was a lot of information. Here is my contact info if you need to email me about anything. There was a lot of stuff we covered yesterday. It went over an hour and a half long with the presentation and the questions. So you might have a lot of questions. Please reach out to me if you need to. But I think this is a good start for this next learning cycle. One more important thing that I should tell you, and that I didn't really have a lot of time yesterday during the session to share, is that when you are in, let's go ahead and start this again. When you're in implementation 1, let's say, click on it, and I see the gear right here. I can copy all grades from this class to Google Sheets. I could download all grades as a CSV file or download these grades as the grades in this particular assignment as a CSV file. So if I copy all grades to Google Sheets, you can see how a Google Sheet shows up. At the end of a session, at the very end of the learning cycle, this is what you're going to share with us, the pbvU team. It will have the 4 assignments at top, and it'll have here whether they have completed the assignment or not. In this case, obviously, it has not been completed because no one's worked on it. But this is something that you'll want to share with us. It's very important. Again, you click on the gear, copy all grades to Google Sheets, and then send that to us. Okay, so that is the last thing. I almost forgot, but I'm glad I added it in there. If you have any questions, please contact me. Looking forward to talking to you.